Hey, what's guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're continuing on this series with the best batteries, and on this episode, we're taking a look at probably the most value-packed battery, if that even makes sense, on Amazon, right? So this one right here, which is the Varta Longlife battery, and it goes on sale a lot, especially around like Amazon specials, Black Fridays and stuff like that. So you can pick up like 100 pack for relatively pretty cheap. All right, so we're gonna go over this battery, but we're also going to include in this episode the Duracell CopperTops with the Powerboost ingredients. So if you remember the previous episodes, we tested the Duracell CopperTops, but that one was not the Powerboost ingredients one. So apparently the Powerboost ingredients Duracell does better, and we're gonna find out how much better the Duracell Powerboost does over the standard CopperTop. So if you wanna know more about these batteries and how they compare to other ones we've tested so far, stick with us. Here we have the Duracell Powerboost batteries. These are the ones that have the little lines on the copper tops that differentiate them versus the standard just plain copper tops without the lines going across it. They even have the lines going across on this marketing, and it says Powerboost TM trademark, obviously ingredients, right? So today we're gonna find out how much of a difference this actually makes, because this is guaranteed for 12 years in storage, even though it says here may explode or leak and cause injury and burn if recharged, disposed of in fire, mixed with different battery type inserted backwards or disassembled. What I noticed about these batteries, and this is just anecdotally speaking, is that the Duracell batteries seem to leak a lot. So that may just be, it may leak, explode, or cause burn injury at any time, even if you don't recharge it. You know, like I said, that's just my opinion, speaking anecdotally, but that's what these batteries are, right? So, along with these batteries, we're also going to be testing these Varta batteries. Let me back up a little bit here, because these batteries are the ones sold exclusively, I think, on Amazon. And these seem to be really popular, especially if you get them around the Black Friday time. I think this 100 pack of Long Life AA batteries came in really cheap. So today we're gonna find out how good these are, right? So this is what the battery looks like. There's not too much marketing on this box. It's really stacked up for, you know, just mass market, I guess, or bulk sales. So this one we just got from our Black Friday sale, Varta Long Life, made in Indonesia. We're gonna figure out how long this is. Apparently on these batteries they actually have the guarantee date, I guess, stamped or on the label, right? 2034. I know a lot of batteries have a best buy date on some of those, but you know, this is the first time I think I've seen it like this. Anyways, let's go ahead and get these on the charger, right? So let's take the Duracell Powerboost battery. We'll put it here in slot 1. Set it to discharge. Set it to 100 milliamp discharge rate. Take the Varta Long Life. Get it in here. Slot 2. Set it to discharge. Put it at 100 milliamp discharge rate. Get the Duracell Powerboost. Slot 3, we'll put that into discharge, and discharge at the 200 milliamp discharge rate. And the Varta Long Life, we're gonna put that on the tester. We're gonna set that to mode. Actually, let me reset that because I don't like how that one went in. Varta discharge, 200 milliamp discharge rate, and testing should be underway. Discharge test is done. Let's go take a look at the results, right? So first slot, 2438 milliamp hours and 1457 minutes. That's the Duracell. The Varta, 2084 milliamp hours and 1248 minutes. And then on the 200 milliamp hours, that's 2224 milliamp hours and 664 minutes. Duracell. And then slot 4, 1857 milliamp hours in 558 minutes. Let's go take a look at these results on paper. Looking at the results, let's go take a look at the leaderboard, right? First, the Varta Long Life with the 100 milliamp discharge test took 1,248 minutes with a total capacity of 2,084 milliamp hours discharged. And on the 200 milliamp hour test, it took 558 minutes with the discharge capacity of 1,857 milliamp hours discharged, right? Moving on to the Duracell Powerboost. The Powerboost 100 milliamp discharge rate test took 1,457 minutes and discharged a total capacity of 2,438 milliamp hours. And then when you ramp it up to the 200 milliamp discharge test, it took 664 minutes and discharged a total capacity of 2,224 milliamp hours. All right. So, also on the battery side, we'll go ahead and say the Varta Longlife battery, normal pricing, or so it seems to be, cost somewhere around $22.64 for the 100 pack, but the one that we got on sale during, I think it was like Black Friday or something like that, was like $12.97 for a 100 pack, right? But we're not going to do the sale pricing. We're just going to include the average normal pricing for the price, which comes out to about 23 cents per battery. So that is pretty good per battery. And the Duracell Powerboost, you can get them in all different types of configurations, but the biggest one that we found that was readily available to the average consumer was about the 40 count, which is sold at your Costco for roughly around $20.99, which also does go on sale, you know, regularly every now and then with a few bucks off. So we're gonna go with the 40 count for $21, and that battery comes out to almost 52 cents per battery, right? So looking at that, how do they stack up on the leaderboard, right? The Varta Longlife battery stacks up on the 100 milliamp discharge rate test in 12th place on the leaderboard, behind the Duracell CopperTop, which is what at Costco tested in previous episodes, but in front of the Thunderbolt Magnum, right? So one way to look at it is probably the lowest capacity alkaline battery we've tested at the 100 milliamp discharge rate test, right? So 12th place, but 23 cents per battery. Is it really all that good? We'll talk about that later. But the Long Life, which is the 200 milliamp discharge rate test, is actually in 11th place on the leaderboard, beating out the Thunderbolt Magnum alkaline battery, which had a discharge capacity of 1,857. You're going to look at it and say, but they both discharge 1,857. Why is this one stacked in a way higher or ranked higher than a Thunderbolt Magnum? It really just comes down to cost, right? So 23 versus the 29. But if you wanted to say they're tied, you could say that too. All right, so moving on to the Duracell Powerboost, the alkaline battery with the 100 milliamp discharge rate test comes in 5th place on the leaderboard, just behind the Energizer Max, but actually in front of the Kirkland and the HDX. The Kirkland one had 2423 and the HDX was 2421. So the Powerboost with 2438 is actually holding more capacity than those batteries, right? So the Powerboost with the 200 milliamp discharge rate test actually comes in a very respectable 3rd place on the leaderboard, which is way, on top of just the standard CopperTop. So it is just behind the Energizer Ultimate and the up&up, but in front of the Energizer Max and the Kirkland and the HDX, right? We'll go take a look at the numbers a little bit more in detail right now. Right, so let's go take a look at the numbers more in detail. The 100 milliamp discharge rate test, if you take a look at the Duracell Powerboost, 2438 milliamp hours discharge versus the other ones that are very close neighbors to it, right? Just behind the Energizer Max, 2452, and behind the Thunderbolt Edge, which is 2492, but in front of the Kirkland, which is 2423 and 2421, it is actually all pretty much really close. You could almost round it off as like a rounding error or margin of error and stuff like that, but it's actually very close. The other thing to note on here is that at 52 cents per battery, it is tied with the Energizer Max, which was also 52 cents per battery, right? So that's one way to look at it. The other way you can look at it, as somebody else on the channel had commented, which is probably a good way to look at it, is the cost per milliamp hour, right? So if you take it to a milliamp hour and then try to figure out how much it costs you per cent, or how many milliamp hours you're getting per cent, that's probably one way to look at it if you're just trying to maximize, your battery capacity. So if you look at it that way, the Duracell Powerboost gives you a whopping 46.46 milliamp hours per cent. right? So that actually is probably, I want to say, tied around middle place, right? Because there are other batteries who give you a lot less. Like for instance, the Energizer Ultimate, which is a lithium battery, which only gives you 16 milliamp hours per cent, which is a lot, right? Versus the Varta Longlife, which gives you 92 milliamp hours per cent. Right, so 92 milliamp hours per cent is a lot more, almost double the Duracell Powerboost 46.46 milliamp hours per cent, right? So that's one way you can also look at it, right? Moving on to the 200 milliamp discharge rate, let's go take a look at that and see how that works. So the Powerboost Alkaline with the 2224 is just behind the Target up and up, which was the 2230, but in front of the Energizer Max 2181 and 2158. They're all relatively close. You could, kind of say they're margin of error. The other one, the Varta Longlife 1857, tied with the Harbor Freight Magnum, Thunderbolt Magnum for 1857, isn't too far behind the Rayovac Fusion, which is 1878, right? But the Rayovac Fusion costs 93 cents per battery, whereas the Varta Longlife costs 23 cents per battery. If you look at the leaderboard ranking and you look at what other batteries are even close to 23 cents per battery, that is actually the one is tied with the Thunderbolt Magnum Alkaline battery, which is 29 cents per battery. So one way you could look at it is this is probably one of the cheapest alkaline batteries that we've tested so far, even cheaper than the Harbor Freight batteries, right? Excluding the zinc chloride battery. But the other way you can look at it is the Varta Longlife gives you 82.02 milliamp hours per cent. The Duracell Powerboost gives you 42.38 milliamp hours per cent, right? So if you want to figure out how many milliamp hours you're getting for your monies, that's one way to look at it. But if you want a battery that just lasts long, that you do not have to change a lot, then you probably want to look at how many milliamp hour each battery holds, right? But if you don't mind changing the batteries out every now and then, it's probably going to be a good buy, right? So what can we say about these batteries, right? So these batteries are actually very interesting, right? The Duracell CopperTop's been around for a while. Now they've recently added some power boost ingredients, which definitely seems to perform better than the Duracell CopperTops, for 48 cents per CopperTop, whereas the 52 cents per power boost battery, you're gonna have to figure out if that extra is worth the cost for you. But these Amazon sold Varta Longlife batteries, if you look at it per cost of, per a battery, or per milliamp hour delivered, you are actually getting a lot for your monies, right? So these batteries come in, bulk packaging, and they kind of come, you get this huge pack of batteries, and they're kind of wrapped in, this plastic here. So you're gonna have to find a good way to store these if you want. There's a lot of places out there to store them, right? But these batteries, for the price, seem to be a good deal. But get ready to change out your the batteries every now and then, because they're probably not holding as much capacity as the other batteries, but not by far, right? Because if you look at the 100 milliamp discharge rate test, we're talking about 2,000 versus some of the best ones, which are around 2,400. So they hold about 500 milliamps less than some of the other ones. So you're not going to be changing out that much often, but you will change it out more often. So low drainage devices may be a good buy, up to you. High drainage devices, you may want to find a better solution rather than this. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day, get back to work, and we'll see you guys next time.